So this is the entrance to the field. The bit I'm on now is fairly solid, and then I had some hardcore put in the gateway a couple of years ago, which makes it a little bit easier getting in and out of the field. And this is the gig bridge. And here's my field. This is the first half, first third. So this is about 1.1 acres with the cider trees in. Then there's another 1.1 acres which I've traditionally cut for hay and encouraged wildflowers into. And then there's a tiny bit at the back which is the Hazel coppice. And this is the river. I'll show you later on where you can get down to the river in two different places. So this is the sort of first field with the cider apple trees. So there's 10 cider trees with a mixture of sweet, sour, tannin, whatever it is you need to make a good cider, and they came from the fruit farm at Clynidloes. I have made cider in the past with these, but unfortunately the last few years living in the camper van it hasn't been possible. But just look at this tree, how beautiful it is. I feel very sad that the fruit's going to waste. It was such a good fruiting year this year, and I just hope that whoever gets the field maybe will be able to enjoy making their own cider like we used to. There is a mobile cider place that comes around to Kinkton most years, and they bring a thing to shred the apples for you, and then they press them for you, and you get your juice back, and you have an option obviously of taking it as juice pure to make your cider, or they will bottle and sterilise it for you, or put some in plastic containers, which obviously you have to drink within X amount of days, but there's always lots of options. And that's how we got our fruit juice to make our cider. Cute area that my dad built, which is quite nice. I use a couple of old oven grills on the top there, with the odd brick. So we've got the base there, and another base here. And then I use a couple of oven grills on the top and raise them up on bricks if need be to make it slightly higher. This is the little fun feature of the field. This is the weir. You can see it's winter, so the river is quite full, flowing quite well. In the summer, I've got a set of steps that there's actually a solid concrete bit under there. I'll put the steps down there, and then it's easy to step up and down into the weir. So just a pair of double caravan steps. So this first field here is grazed full-time by, well not full-time, but from, I don't know, April, by a sheep farmer. And this piece here has always been cut for hay. So what we do is obviously once I've cut it for hay, he then lets the sheep into here as well. But if I've got friends coming up to stay in the field, then I give him a shout. Because he's local, he just comes and collects the sheep. So that obviously could continue if whoever bought the field just wanted it purely as amenity land, and didn't plan to put any stock on it. Again, there's a couple of pollarded willows ready to pollard there, but actually they could be easily cut right down at the base or removed altogether if whoever bought the field wants a better view of the river. Likewise, these two hawthorns could come down or be cut off at the base. This table will probably go with the field, just because it's oak and it's so heavy. I probably don't think I'm going to move it. One more pollarded willow there, and unfortunately one that didn't take here. This is the weir, the second weir. So during the summer we swim between the two weirs, and here is some steps. They're a bit overgrown at the moment. These are the steps that go down to this weir. So this is the third bit, And this was planted by me. I can't remember when. I'd have to look it up. I think it was about 2016. I get out the sun. So this was 100 bare root hazels that I planted myself, and amazingly every single one took. So these were coppiced, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago, and they're probably due to be coppiced in a year or two. There are some people who are interested in coming and coppicing the wood, if that is something the buyer isn't interested in, but obviously wants to keep the coppice going. So again, I would hand over their details to any buyer. So just coming out of the coppice, this is the very last little bit, the very back bit of the field. And this is the tree I thought we might put the owl box in. We never did. So this bit here gets a bit of Himalayan balsam and nettles obviously in the summer. And the fencing here needs a bit of TLC, but since I don't really come in here and the sheep don't come in here, but yeah. And Christmas trees Dad planted, God knows when. And this piece of land we're looking at in front of us is sort of no man's land. I think it's just council land. It doesn't seem to belong to anyone. So looking back through the hazel coppice. My dog absolutely loves it up here, and I have to be honest, so do I. I really love it up here, but unfortunately I live in my camper van, and I just want to go and do other things like Scotland, and I've been in Scotland for the last 3-4 months now. I want to do Scotland and Norway, and I've got friends in Morocco, so I'd quite like to, do a bit more travelling. And so it seems like I'm not getting as much use out of the field as I might. But the dog is having a wonderful time. So ahead of us now, with the pile of wood under it, is the cherry tree. And I think there's a video of that somewhere, or photos. But that was really prolific this year, and obviously it's sort of like most fruit trees, it goes well one year and not so well the next. Again, the dams and in fact all the fruit trees were really well laden this year, just gone. Got a view up to the church. Nothing nicer than sat in the field with a drink, listening to the church bells on practice days. I have got some moles here. I'm happy to thin them out for anyone who wants them thinned out in the spring, if that's something someone wants done, or I'm happy to show you how to catch them yourself. This is what I call the Kazi. It's a compost toilet. I think I've got the term Kazi from Septo and Son. So in the front it's got a separator, and then that goes to a soak away. And what I do is, you can see there's a couple missing, but when I'm up here with friends, there should be another post in this front right corner. I just wrap a tarpaulin around so that you've got a bit of privacy while using the Kazi. And there's my lovely cherry tree again. And this video is taken on, I think it's the 19th of December 2025. So this is the field as it is, in all its winter glory. The red kites soaring above the field. You can hear the owls in the evening, although to be honest I've never ever seen one, but maybe I'm just not looking at the right time. But sometimes you can have 4 or 5 red kites just reaching about the field. We used to have a buzzard that used to sit all the time in the copper beech tree, which I forgot to mention. So that's the one looking sort of straight ahead now. And for years the buzzard used to sit there, but then for years now he hasn't, and I assume that particular buzzard has died. Something went down the river. I wouldn't like to say if that was a kingfisher or not. They're so fast. But you will see kingfishers on the river, heron, crayfish if you're lucky. We've had one come up the weir before now, and they're quite territorial, so I think it probably lives in that part of the river maybe. I have also sadly seen their little heads in the field, and I think that's where we've got otters, that they catch them and munch them. And then you can see a small light aircraft, so we're quite close to the Shobden airfield. Actually, you might not be able to see it on the video. We hear it. So we get the hang gliders going up. We get the odd busy days where they have a fly-in of a vintage aircraft, but usually it's fairly quiet. And they've got a lovely cafe, so if you want to go and have lunch there, you can sit outside and watch the planes land and take off with a drink, or go in the cafe and have Sunday lunch, things like that. The village itself is lovely. They have a coffee spot, coffee morning, on the first Saturday of every month, which I try and support as much as I can, and everybody's so friendly in this village. Really nice. They have summer barbecues, the odd quiz night, the harvest supper, things like that. So the other advantage of having the field is actually having a community that you can adopt and that adopts you, because as I say, everyone's so friendly.